Have you ever wondered how our grandparents managed to cultivate such bountiful gardens without the endless aisles of modern garden center products? They relied on a wealth of practical knowledge, a kind of wisdom passed down through generations. These weren't complicated scientific formulas but simple, effective techniques born from observation and a deep connection to the land. This timeless advice often involved using what was readily available, turning everyday household items into valuable tools and solutions. It's a frugal and sustainable approach to gardening that has become more relevant than ever in our modern world, where we seek to be gentler on the environment and our wallets. This traditional knowledge is not about rejecting modern methods entirely. Instead, it offers a complementary path, a way to work in harmony with nature rather than against it. Think of it as a collection of clever secrets, whispered from one gardener to another over the back fence. These methods focus on building healthy soil, deterring pests naturally, and making the most of every single seed. They remind us that the most effective solutions are often the simplest ones, rooted in common sense and a respect for the natural cycles of growth and decay that govern every garden, no matter its size. The beauty of these old-fashioned hacks lies in their accessibility. You do not need to be an expert with decades of experience to put them into practice. Anyone, from a novice tending a few pots on a balcony to a seasoned allotmentier, can benefit from this inherited wisdom. These are tips for real-world gardening, designed for people who get their hands dirty and find joy in the simple act of growing things. It's about being resourceful, observant, and patient, qualities that are just as important for a gardener as a good trowel or a sturdy watering can. By embracing these time-honored practices, we do more than just grow healthier plants. We connect with a long history of cultivators who understood the delicate balance of their local ecosystems. We learn to see our gardens not just as a plot of land to be controlled, but as a living system to be nurtured. This shift in perspective is perhaps the greatest gift that this generational knowledge offers us. It encourages a more thoughtful and sustainable relationship with the earth, one that yields rewards far beyond a simple harvest of vegetables or a beautiful display of flowers. One of the most common challenges every gardener faces is the constant battle against unwanted visitors, both pests and weeds. Before chemical sprays became commonplace, gardeners had to be clever and resourceful in protecting their precious plants. For larger pests like tomato hornworms or cabbage worms, the most direct method was often the best manual removal. Simply picking the critters off the leaves and dropping them into a bucket of soapy water is remarkably effective. This approach avoids harming beneficial insects and keeps your edible crops free from potentially harmful residues, ensuring a truly natural harvest for your table. Slugs and snails, particularly fond of tender young lettuces and hostas, can be a persistent nuisance. An old-time trick that still works wonders is setting a simple beer trap. All you need to do is place a few shallow dishes like old saucers or jar lids around your vulnerable plants and fill them with an inch or two of beer. The slugs are irresistibly drawn to the scent of the yeast, crawl into the dish, and drown. In the morning you can simply collect the traps and add their contents to your compost pile, turning a garden pest into a future source of nutrients for your soil. When it comes to weeds, especially those stubborn ones that pop up in the cracks of a patio or driveway, a homemade solution can be surprisingly potent. You can mix a simple, effective weed killer using ingredients you likely already have in your kitchen. In a spray bottle, combine 1 gallon of white vinegar with about 1 ounce of dish soap and, if you have it, a few tablespoons of citric acid. The soap helps the mixture stick to the weed's leaves, while the vinegar and acid work to dehydrate the plant. For the best results, apply it on a bright, sunny day. Of course, for smaller weeds sprouting in your garden beds, sometimes the best tool is the simplest. You don't always need a specialized hoe or weeding fork to get the job done. An old, sturdy butter knife from your kitchen drawer can be an excellent tool for this task. Its thin, strong blade is perfect for getting right down to the root of a small weed and prying it out of the soil without disturbing the surrounding plants too much. This method is precise, costs nothing, and is a fantastic example of the resourcefulness that defined traditional gardening practices. Great gardeners know that the secret to a thriving garden begins not with the plants, but with the soil beneath them. Our ancestors understood this fundamental principle long before soil testing kits were available. They knew that feeding the soil was the key to feeding their families. One of the most important ways they did this was through composting. By collecting kitchen scraps like vegetable peelings, coffee grounds, and eggshells, they created a rich, dark, crumbly material that was pure gold for the garden. This process prevents valuable organic matter from ending up in landfills, where it would produce harmful methane gas. Creating your own compost doesn't have to be a complicated affair. If you have the space, a simple open-air pile in a corner of your garden will work perfectly well. To help speed up the decomposition process, it's a good idea to add a mix of green materials, like kitchen scraps and grass clippings, and brown materials, like dried leaves and cardboard. A brilliant tip is to run your lawnmower over a pile of autumn leaves. This shreds them into smaller pieces which break down much more quickly and integrate beautifully into your compost, creating a balanced, nutrient-rich amendment for your soil. For those with smaller gardens or patios, the lack of space doesn't mean you have to miss out on the benefits of composting. Modern tumbling composters are a fantastic compact alternative to a large open pile. These enclosed barrels can be turned easily with a handle, which mixes and aerates the contents to accelerate the composting process. This method is clean, contained, and highly efficient, allowing urban and suburban gardeners to produce their own high-quality compost. It proves that the age-old principle of recycling nutrients can be adapted to fit any gardening situation, no matter how small. By consistently adding compost to your garden beds, you are doing so much more than just fertilizing your plants. You are improving the very structure of the soil itself. Compost helps sandy soils retain more water and nutrients, while it improves drainage and aeration in heavy clay soils. It encourages a vibrant ecosystem of beneficial microorganisms, fungi, and earthworms, which are the true engines of a healthy garden. This holistic approach to soil health is the cornerstone of sustainable organic gardening, ensuring your garden will remain fertile and productive for many years to come. Sowing very fine seeds, such as those for carrots, lettuce, or certain flowers, can be a frustrating task. It is incredibly difficult to distribute them evenly, often resulting in dense clumps of seedlings that need to be painstakingly thinned out later. A wonderfully simple trick to solve this problem is to mix the tiny seeds with a carrier substance before you sow them. Take your packet of seeds and blend it with an equal or slightly greater amount of fine, dry sand or even cornmeal. This increases the volume of what you are planting, making it much easier to achieve a sparse, even distribution in the row. This simple act of mixing seeds with a carrier saves you time and effort down the line. When seedlings emerge evenly spaced, they have immediate access to the light, water, and nutrients they need without competing with their neighbors. This reduces the need for thinning, a delicate task that can easily disturb the fragile roots of the seedlings you want to keep. It's a perfect example of how a little bit of preparation and forethought, using a simple household product, can lead to healthier plants and a more successful harvest with far less work. This is the kind of practical, efficient wisdom that defines these traditional methods. Resourcefulness extends beyond just sowing seeds. It also applies to the tools we use for everyday garden care. You don't always need to purchase expensive, specialized equipment. Many effective gardening tools can be found right in your own home. As mentioned, an old butter knife is perfect for weeding. But what about pruning? For delicate tasks like deadheading flowers or snipping herbs, a sharp pair of kitchen or office scissors can work just as well as fancy pruning shears. Repurposing these items not only saves money but also reduces waste, embodying a truly sustainable mindset. Finally, here is a classic piece of advice for keeping yourself tidy while you work. Before you head out to the garden, take a simple bar of soap and run your fingernails over it a few times. This fills the space under your nails with soap, which prevents soil from getting packed in there. When you are finished with your gardening for the day and go to wash your hands, the soap dissolves easily, taking all the dirt with it and leaving your nails perfectly clean. It's a small, simple, yet brilliant trick that makes the cleanup process after a satisfying day in the garden that much easier. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, and turn on notifications for World Up, your go-to source for content that brings the world to you.